Hi guys, so today I'm going to do a video about the books that I've read recently. You guys know I do these every once in a while. I haven't done one for a few months, I believe, because I haven't been reading too much. I've been reading a bit more recently, which is why I want to make this video now. But I'm just going to share with you 5 books that I've read and one that I'm currently reading, just because I feel like it kind of fits with the theme, sort of, so I'm just going to do that now. The first one is the one that I've read most recently, and it's Armada by Ernest Cline. Ernest Cline is the guy who wrote Ready Player One. So the theme is sort of similar, but not really. If you guys haven't read Ready Player One or seen the film, I really do recommend it. I loved the book so much, and the film is great as well. So if you guys haven't seen that one, I definitely recommend it. But this one, Armada, is just sort of fits with the theme of science fiction and a bit of an obsession with the 80s in a way. But the main thing of this one, it's also about video games. I feel like this guy is obsessed with video games, the 80s and science fiction, so there's a book about that as well. But in this one, the plot is basically that the United States, or the government, I guess, creates like a bit of an army around people who play video games. So basically these people are playing video games and they don't know that the government, the military, is using them to train, I guess, if that makes any sense. If it doesn't, then I really don't know how to explain it without giving away the plot or why they're being trained. But it's really good. If you guys like Ready Player One, has a similar feel to it. It's also like a boy with a similar lifestyle to the one Ready Player One. I didn't think it was as good as Ready Player One, but that might be because it's similar to it and it doesn't feel as unique as it did the first time around, maybe, but it's still really good. I liked it, and it's quite good if you're into those things. The second one, which I believe I've mentioned at some point, is Thunderhead, which is the second part of the Scythe series by Neil Shusterman. This is a really good book. I love the first part and I love the second part, and I'm very excited for the third one to come out to read it because I really like it. It's basically a world in a futuristic setting where people are so advanced that we have everything we need to not really die, so they have to create this council of people who become scythes, and they basically go and kill people off because of overpopulation. It's young adult science fiction dystopian. I really like it. It feels like a bit of a weird plot, but it's really good. It's very clever, and it goes a bit into philosophy as well, with do we kill people, do we not, how do we do it, and all that stuff. And I feel like it's dystopian and futuristic and obviously fiction, but I feel like it's not something we probably won't need to consider. Basically, I feel like at some point maybe we'll be so scientifically advanced that diseases don't happen anymore. But I feel like it's good to consider. It's good to see what would happen when things are different in the future. And it's something that I haven't really read about before. So, really interesting, really like it. If you guys are into that stuff, honestly, believe me, it's so good. I also read Artemis by Andy Weir. I'm not sure how to say his last name because I've heard it both ways. So I don't know him personally, so no. But it's the guy who wrote The Martian. So this book, instead of being set in Mars, is set on the moon. So there's a colony on the moon, and this girl is the main character. It's a very good main character. It's not your typical person. She's a very strong woman, and I really like that, and she's very independent as well. And I really like that it's set on the moon. Obviously, we all know I love science fiction, and it's just really good. I think it's definitely not as, I was gonna say user-friendly, but that's not the word. But I feel like not as many people are gonna like it as The Martian, because the main character is not as funny or relatable, or I don't know, I feel like not that many people are gonna like it compared to The Martian, but it's still really good. It's still amazing. The writing is great, and the scientific detail and engineering detail that goes into it is really good. It's based around things that could potentially happen. It's not all fiction, just making things up. He really does his research with all the scientific stuff, and I really appreciate that. Then we have The Men of Legends by Kenneth C. Jensen. And I wasn't sure about this book. I think I read it because it came up on suggested on Goodreads, or I just saw that it had good reviews, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna read it because it's science fiction. To be honest, I don't remember too much of it. I think I read it at the beginning of the year, so it's still a bit, I don't remember everything that happened. But it's a very weird book. The way that it's structured, it basically jumps from character to character. And there's one main guy, and then there's loads of like secondary characters. And people that you don't necessarily need to know a lot of. Because the mystery is the main guy. And he's this one guy who's, I don't know if this is a spoiler or not really. But he's lived forever, it seems like. And it's sort of like, who is this guy? Why is he like that? And why is he intervening in these people's lives? And it's really good, but I did feel like it was a bit too long. I wanted to quit at some point, but I was like, no, I feel like it's gonna be worth it. And there's a bit of a weird thing at the end, which makes it a bit weird, and I kind of want to ignore it that it was there. It's one of those that the good part is towards the end, so you're reading it, you're just getting the backstory after backstory, and you're like, when is this actually gonna tell me something about this main guy who we know nothing about? So it was good, but at the same time, I do recommend it, but only if you love reading as a thing. Not just knowing the story, but like actually reading, because it's long, and I know that sounds weird. I feel like it makes sense. It's, yeah, if you enjoy the ride of the book, then definitely read it. I don't regret reading it, but it was a bit too long and too much of like stuff that you don't really need for the story to work the same way. Then compared to that one that was too long, I have one that was really short. I think it's a short story novella. I don't know which category it goes in, but I think I found out about it because it was nominated to a Nebula Award. I actually do not know, don't quote me on that, I don't know. Basically, it's a play on words with, and a play on the story with, and then there were none by Agatha Christie, but this one is, and then there were N-1 by Sarah Pinkster. And basically it's a short story you can read online because it was published on a magazine online. It's legal to read it online, that's where it's published. So you can find it very easily, you just type it, and it's a very good story, and I love short stories because I feel like they go to the point, you know what you're getting, the story is really good, concise, and I like that. So this one is about this girl. I think the lady who wrote it has like based the story on herself, so the character has the same name as her, and she goes to this convention with loads of other Sarahs, so like alternate universe Sarahs, so herself and her other selves from the other universes, and they just go to this one convention, and then there's like a mystery and a murder that happens, which kind of pairs up with And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie in a way, but not really. It's not the same story. It doesn't, like, people don't get killed one by one. Not a spoiler, but just telling you it's not the same story with different people. It's a different story, but it's really good. I quite liked it, and yeah, it's a short story. It's just gonna take you a few minutes to read. Actually, more like an hour, probably. I think it took me about that. It's a short story, but it's not 2 pages, you know. So, really good. Definitely go ahead and read it. It's free to read online. Definitely go and do it. I really enjoyed it. And the last one is the one that I'm currently reading at the moment. I actually have the physical book here, which was gifted to me by a friend a while ago. And it's a Arias by Stanislaw Lem, which is a very popular classic science fiction book. I just hadn't read it until now. I've had it sitting in my shelf for a while and I just wasn't reaching towards it. But I was at this space conference thing last weekend and they mentioned it. And I was like, wait a minute, I have that book. So I'm reading it now. I'm like a quarter in. That's where I'm at. This is what I've read. And basically, it's a classic science fiction story of someone going to another planet and then things happen. I don't want to spoil anything. But it's really good if you like classic science fiction. It's, you know, someone goes to space, things are different there, what happens. It's written in a classical science fiction way, so it has loads of descriptions. Compared to young adult books that are written now that have a lot more dialogue. So it's a bit more difficult to read in a way that you have to read a whole description and bigger paragraphs and things like that. And I'm saying this because I know some people don't like that. So if you're not gonna like that, then probably don't go for it, just because you're gonna think it's not good when it actually is. But it's just that you don't like the way that it's written. But it's really good. Like I said, I'm only like a quarter in, but I quite like it. It does have a bit of like science explanations and all the science fiction that you can tell it was written a while ago. But really good at the same time. I definitely love classic science fiction. I feel like that's where everything started, and I feel like I have a duty to myself to read those books as well as the new ones. So yeah, that's what I'm kind of doing now. It's not very long, as you can see. It's, I don't know, I quite like it so far. So I'll definitely update you on that one on the next video that I do about my books and stuff, because yeah, I'll tell you what I think, but so far, love it. And that's gonna be everything for today. If you guys liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and leave some comments below. Let me know if you have any science fiction recommendations, because I definitely appreciate that, and I will see you guys later with another video. Bye!